Okay, so let's talk about me. First of all, if you don't know, I am Tushar Oja. I have 5 years of experience in this mobile application development uh, field, and I am an open source enthusiast. Like I love to learn open source technologies and contribute to them. Regarding that, I have experience in developing apps using most of the modern frameworks like Flutter, React Native, native Android using Java and Kotlin both. So this is a much short intro about me. So rather than that, I'm here to give back to the open source community, and like you guys are the next people who are going to contribute to this community and making it a much better place for new beginners. So that's why I'm here. So if you want to know more about me or you want to follow me, then you can follow up on these links like the GitHub, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Okay. So let's continue with the week one challenge. So here's the week one challenge, that is authentication challenge. So you are developing an app and you want the users to be using your app, but you want there's some kind of a layer so that you know who the person is using it, or is the person genuine or some bot is using it. So to do that, we always face like authentication things in most of the apps we use, whether it's Uber, whether it's Zomato. So most of the apps now time almost all the apps have it. Okay, so this is one of the industry standard thing which we are going to develop in this week one. So you need to create an application with three of these options, sign in options, which is social login, login using OTP, and login using email and password. And design to those screens is provided in this Adobe XD file, which is the link is provided here in this PPT. So you will get this PPT after this lecture. Okay. So this is the thing you want to develop. Now, next thing is what. First of all, I want to clear one thing. Like in this course or in this masterclass, I am here to just give you and show you the path how you should begin with this thing. I'm not here to like code here and you just copy it and say it's I've developed something. So because that way you will not be learning a lot, and that learning would be just what we say, you are just copying things, and that will not help you in real world application development. Okay, so that's why I'm here to guide you on the path. If you face some problems, again I'm here to help you with that on the Discord. So we have also decided some timelines, and I will let you know about those timelines in this like masterclass only. Okay, so let's begin the prerequisite of this challenge. So all the challenges which we provide, we have some kind of prerequisite in most of the challenges. So let's see the prerequisite in this particular challenge. So first prerequisite is the basic knowledge of state and stateful widgets in Flutter. I think you guys already developed a task which we have provided, on the basis of which we have selected you. That is the counter app task. So in this particular task, you need to have basic idea of that stateful widgets and state management using those stateful widgets. Rather than that, you should also know how to navigate between three different screens of Flutter and UI building in Flutter. Okay, so basic UI building, you should have those skills. But if you think like I don't have this prerequisite, how would I learn? And you said like there are not much prerequisites, then how should I get started? So we have provided you the references for the above topics from which you can learn. So what happens, like if you know, Flutter is launched by Google in 2017. Since Flutter is a new stack as compared to other in the market, so whenever a new technology comes to the market, the responsible of the author or the company is to provide a good documentation about about that technology, so that anyone can use it, because Google developed Flutter so that developers can use it. But if they don't provide much documentation about it, then why would developers make their efforts in learning that? Because it will take more efforts for the developers to learn that thing. That's why the documentation is provided, and the website where you can find out this documentation, that is flutter.dev. So here the links provided here. So this documentation is one of the best documentation I have found out in most of the technologies. So you can just go there, you will have the code snippets to get the idea about these things. So here's, if you face any doubt, then you can ask me in the Discord. We will provide you the timings. So in this particular challenge, we will be using two different technologies. First is Flutter, then is Firebase. Okay, so let's talk about, like you. I think you guys already know a bit about Flutter, and Mike has already given you a bit idea about what is Flutter, and you have developed a counter app also. So now we're going to talk about Firebase. What is Firebase and why we are using it? What services it is providing? So basically, Firebase is what we say. Google's like the way Google is developing the thing. Like for example, Firebase is Google's mobile platform which provides high quality apps so that you can just focus on developing your app, and the other things which a server or the backend should have will be maintained by Google. So it is something which we call backend as a service, BaaS. Okay, so there are a lot of service which Firebase provides. It's a complete toolkit. So few services includes the real-time database which we will be using, authentication, cloud messaging, notifications, Firebase cloud messaging, dynamic links. There are a lot of things, ML kit. So these things help us to make our apps to shine and to target a lot of people, over a million users we can go through using Firebase. So that you just need to focus on your app side. Okay, so now what services we are going to use for this authentication app. So for this Firebase authentication app, we need to use three Firebase services. That is Firebase authentication, which will provide us the UI, or which will provide us with these settings, and the backend for which from which we can just send the phone OTP SMSs, and the emails, the forgot password email, and password generate, and Google sign in, and other social media login. So these things are handled by Firebase. You just need to call an API. Like I want to sign in using the OTP. This is the phone number, and this much time I will be waiting for the OTP send. And once the OTP is sent to the device, I want to get back to know what OTP you have sent so that I can verify it. So you need to just send these things to the Firebase authentication. It will automatically deal with sending that as a SMS to the user's phone, and in the time you have specified. So these things are handled by Firebase so that your efforts will be on developing the app only. Okay. Similarly, for the real-time database, why it's called real-time, because whenever there is some change in the database, it will directly get updated to your app. So that's why we call it real-time database, to store the user details. For example, the mobile name, full name, profile photo, link, address, etc. Firebase cloud storage. So you need to clarify, I'm clarifying here, like Firebase real-time database and cloud storage are different. For example, Firebase real-time database is a database which have some tables, whereas like for example, we talk about cloud storage of Firebase, which is kind of a drive where you can just add your multimedia, whether it's docs, whether it's images, whether it's videos. You can just save it there so that you can use from any of the devices which the app is connected to. Okay, so let's talk about the user schema. So what do you mean by schema? Schema is basically an overview idea, like this much details I will be asking. So when you plan how much data you will be asking from the user is called schema. And if we are asking about the user, we are planning about the user's data which we'll be asking, then we call it as user schema. Okay, so let me just see if you have any error. Okay, so let's talk about the sign-in options. Sign-in options include, like we will be connecting with the Google sign-in, Twitter, GitHub, etc. Okay, these were the sign-in options possible on this Firebase, and there are a lot. You can find it on the Firebase console. We will be talking about it. So next thing is login using OTP, and then login using email and password. So now, as I said, we will be providing you with the logical idea about how you need to develop this thing, how you going to deal with this thing. But at the end, you will be walking on that path. We will be just showing you path, showing you the right path to go on it, and we'll be guiding you how you should go. But at last, you have to go on that path and follow up. Okay, so step by step learning. So this is the way you should develop. So I'm showing you an overview path of almost every app you develop. First of all, you should target about creating a simplistic UI with just buttons and text. You don't need to worry about this styling part. After that done, you just need to focus on those like functionality wise, like everything related to functionality has been completed. The logical part, which is for example in this case, is Firebase authentication to sign in and sign up users, saving user details to the Firebase real-time database, and uploading the user image, profile image, to Firebase storage. Okay, so this is the logical part. After the creating a simplistic UI, you need to focus on this thing. When you have done with this thing, you need to again come back to the UI part, and you need to add the styling and make the UI according to the requirements. So here is the basic idea of the app or the Firebase authentication. So you need to look at again and again in this page, so that while you are developing the challenge, you need to go through this flow chart again and again, so that you will have the idea of the functionality part. Okay, so you can see after the starting, we need to just check whether the user is already logged in or not. If the user is already logged in, then we just show the user with the home screen in the program ends here. But if the user is not logged in, we will ask user to sign in or sign up. Okay, so once the user click on the sign in or sign up button, we will use the Firebase authentication, whether it's OTP or anything. We will use those authentication services and then verify, like if the user is authenticated, then we do this thing. If user is not authenticated, we will show an error message and stop the program. If user is authenticated, then we need to check if the user already exists in our Firebase real-time database. If the user is already existed in the Firebase real-time database, then it means this is a sign-in attempt. If this is a sign-in attempt, we need to show the home screen. If not, then we need to just add the user schema. Like we will need to ask if this is not a sign-in attempt, it means the user is not already in our database. We will ask the user the other details in the user schema you have already seen, like the full name, the address, and the like all the details mentioned in the user schema. And then we need to save it to the real-time database, and then we will continue with the home screen. So this is the way it should look. Okay, so here's the flow of Firebase authentication in particular. So when the application started, as we say, is logged in. If no, then we will go to the login screen. We will ask the user with the options like sign in via Google, sign in via email and password, sign in with OTP. These were the options. And after that, you can see if user exists condition. So this is the same condition. We check if the user already exists, then we will just go to the home screen. If user is not exist in our database, we will ask them to add their other details so that we can register the user in the database. So you can see the authentication part and the database where we maintain the user details are different. In the authentication part, you are just verifying the user that it's a valid user. It's a valid user with this email. Okay, it's a unique user. So these things are done with the Firebase authentication. But to store the user details, we need to use the Firebase real-time database. Okay, I think this is clear. If you are good with it, then let's continue. So this is a simple example of like forget password screen. If the user clicks on the forget password, Firebase, we need to call an API so that Firebase will send an forgot password email. This is nothing much to deal with it. So now talking about resources and references. So in the resources and references, basically I have provided a couple of resources from where you can learn these things. So of course, there are resources which I have provided again with the flutter.dev, but there's some YouTube playlist also where you can learn these things. So first of all, the resource include the Firebase auth package on pub. So there are two websites which you will be dealing most of the time while developing apps in Flutter. Not just in this masterclass, but anytime you are developing apps in Flutter, you will be dealing with two websites at most. First is flutter.dev, which provides you documentation about different widgets in Flutter, and the second is pub.dev. What pub.dev is, it's a package manager website where you can just manage the packages which are available in Flutter. Packages are basically codes or modules which are written for a particular task to be executed. These can be written by the official Flutter team or the open source community or third party companies which can develop the package, and these are open source packages so that you have a trust on them and you can use it to do that particular task. For example, we will talk about Firebase Auth. Then there is a package name is Firebase Auth in the on the pub.dev, which you will be using so that you can add the functionality of Firebase authentication in your app. So this package is developed by Google itself, and it is marked as Flutter a favorite. Okay. So rather than that, setting a Firebase, first of all, you need to set up Firebase on your Flutter app, and then you need to add the package of Firebase authentication. So here's a guide with the setting of Firebase in Flutter by it's again an official documentation how to do that. Okay, since both of those Flutter and Firebase are the product of Google, so these have a good integration and it is really easy to integrate both of them. So you will not face much issues with it. If you face, then we will be discussing one-on-one in the Discord group if you face some issues. Okay, now if you want to learn more about Flutter and you are at some level that you want to deep dive into it, So what happens whenever you want to learn a new technology or learn a new skill, then you need to be in the loop of that skill. Flutter is basically growing every second. People are developing packages, and this is growing every second. So you need to be in the loop so that you will be learning these things. So the first line here I mentioned is widget of the week, the boring show, and the Flutter in focus. So these three playlists are created by official Google team working on the Flutter so that you guys can be in the loop. For example, widget of the week provides you the 1 minute introduction to different widgets available in Flutter, because in Flutter every small part of the Flutter app is a widget. So you will be having idea of different widgets available in Flutter. For example, you have used a floating action button widget. It's a type of widget. So in 1 minute video, you will get the idea of these widgets in on this playlist. So there are around 60 to 70 videos. You can watch them, and these are provided by the official Google team working on Flutter. Similarly, for the boring show, in the boring show, there are two Google developers will be sitting together to develop a particular app in the series, and they will be talking about how to develop the app, and they will face issues, and they will find out the solution of the issues live on that stream. These are basically live streams. So you will be learning a lot from this boring show also, because this is the way you know how to learn new things. Okay. Now Flutter in Focus is similar to widget of the week, but it is in detail for a like it's a 4 minute or 5 minute video on a particular widget, which gives you a broader idea about that widget. Then MTech Viral playlist is also a good playlist in Hindi about the Flutter application development. So you can also try this playlist to get an idea. Rather than that, I'm also available on YouTube. So I have a playlist, recently created a playlist that is Intro to Flutter App Development. So in this playlist, I don't have any prerequisite. If you haven't like programmed any time before, you don't have experience in any programming language, then you can also join with this. I have around 6 videos in this. So that's also an option. Okay. So let's move to the next thing. So winner selection criteria. So I think you are clear of what the challenge is. Now the thing is how we are going to select the winner of the challenge. So there are basically three criteria. First criteria is code quality and documentation. How you write the code is important, because these ideas or these criteria are basically industry standard, and we are using them. For example, how you write the code is the variable names, and there are a lot of things that you need to have before writing the code, because the code should be able to readable with the other developers, because you will be working with a team, so that your code should be something which anyone can read and follow. Okay, rather than that, what innovation